Hello and welcome back. Greetings for the day. This is Divya and you are watching Trend Ren. Today is our day 2 of our 5-day masterclass on phonetic workshop. We have teachers, parents and trainee students participating in today's session. So please welcome all of you. We were talking about phonetic methodology. In the previous class, we broke down the curriculum into 10 steps. To have a quick revision about it, the first step was to understand about the letter names and the formation of the letters and the directional writing. So that was contributing to the symbols. So that we called as graphemes. The second step was to identify the sounds of the letters that each of those letters were making, and that was representing to my phoneme. Every sound that I was pronouncing, I was able to also work on my facial expressions, the way my jaw and my lips are moving. So that expression was called as the whistle. So this was our step 1, wherein we were working with letter names, the letter sounds, and the expressions that we are making when we are pronouncing the letter sound. Step 2 was where we worked upon differentiating the vowels and consonant out of the 26 letters that we have in our English alphabet set. We know that English alphabet has uppercase alphabet and lowercase alphabet set, out of which we have 26 letters each. Out of the 26 letters, 5 are vowels, that is A, E, I, O, U, and the remaining letters are my consonants. Each of my vowel is contributing to a particular sound. Out of the 5 vowels, we would make 20 vowel sounds, which is further divided into short vowel sounds, long vowel sound, and diphthongs. My consonants contribute to my consonant sounds and digraphs. From there, we understood that in the phonetic language or in the English language, we have 44 sounds. In step 3, we have to work upon the methods of introducing the phonic language to our children. We saw the differences of jolly phonic, wherein we synthesized the letter sounds. We saw how analytical phonics was different than the embedded phonics and different other phonetic methodology. So step 3 was very crucial for all of us in case if you are an early childhood educator to identify what is the method that you would be teaching your child. This is what we covered in our day 1. Step 4 was you introduce the letter sounds to the child. Now it was more important that we introduce the technique of blending. What is blending? Bringing two sounds together, right? So when they are blended together, the child was introduced to learning new words and making new words. So we begin by giving them simple words, that is CVC, which is a combination of my consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. So you begin in your step 4 teaching and introducing the child to CVC words and helping the children to blend them to make up one word. So we were done with introducing CVC words. What was my step 5? To introduce sight words. Sight words are high frequency words which frequently occur when we are introducing reading to our children. These are the words which frequently appear in our sentences. So introduce sight words. Now you introduce the CVC words, sight words. What's the next thing? Make a short sentence with the combination of your CVC words and the sight words. Now your children are good to go in reading simple sentences. Once we are done with introducing sight words, the next 7th step is to introduce more complex words which has the combination of C, C, V, C. That is a consonant, consonant, vowel, and a consonant. When I have CC, the two consonants at the beginning, it's called the initial consonant blend words. Once I introduce CC, VC words, I introduce C, V, CC words. Now CC is at the end, so they are the ending consonant blends. So let's remember, we are introducing CC, VC words and CVCC words to our children. When you're introducing the consonant blends, don't forget not to miss out digraphs. What's a digraph? A combination of a consonant and a consonant making a sound is my digraph. Step 8 is to introduce vowels, diphthongs, and some of the phonetic rules. so that our children don't go wrong when it comes about working with alternative spellings and the phonic rules. Step 9, to introduce more complex words, which we generally eliminate in our preschools. But in case if your child is well versed in developing the language quickly, you can work with trigraphs and quadgraphs. So we begin with introducing the trigraphs and the quadgraphs as the step 9. Step 10, introduce more sight words, introduce more sentences. You can also bring in paragraph reading to our child. That's how that becomes the first step stone towards helping the child to work with comprehension skills. So this was our topic of discussion in our day 1. So if you have missed our day 1 session, this was the summary for our day 1. So let's get started with our day 2 session. In day 2, what do we do further is we learned that we have 44 sounds, out of which 20 are the vowel sounds and remaining 24 are the consonant sounds. So we understood that all words that we have is made up of sounds, correct? But English language has only 26 letters. Then how do I introduce more sounds to children? This is what we are going to learn in our today's class. Now, why sounds are very essential? When you want to introduce reading and writing to children, the children need to be fluent at saying the sounds as they go with the letters. So this has to be the aim of our today's program, wherein we make our children learn perfectly all the 42 sounds in our language. So when we talk about phonetics in yesterday's session, some of them asked me, Divya, is there any difference between phonetics and phonology? Definitely, yes. There is a lot of difference between phonetics and phonology. But let me begin first with phonetics. What is phonetics? We're working with which language? We're working today, I'm talking in English. So probably we are specific to our English language. Anytime that we are working with a language will have its own words, and we know that words are made up of sounds. So when I have to talk to you, when I have to communicate with you, I have to speak. When I have to speak, there are some of the sounds that I'm able to produce. Those sounds are nothing but my speech sounds, right? So I have to have my speech sounds to make up my word. What are those speech sounds? My sound can be a combination of a vowel, a consonant, or I can have sounds that can glide through, right? So phonetics is nothing but it is a study of linguistic sounds of whatever language that you choose. What we have to remember over here is like it involves the speech sound. To make it even more easier for all of us to understand is, like say for example, when I'm talking, or I'll give you one letter, maybe I'll give you the letter R. And how do you pronounce the letter R? I say R. Or if I give you a sound, R, you say the sound R. Or I give you a word cat, you say the word cat. So what did we do here? What did we do here? You listen to whatever sound that I was saying, then you try to produce the same sound. You try to produce the same sound. How could you produce the same sound? Because whatever I was speaking, you received the sound and then you were able to transmit the sound back. So our phonetics is all about producing sounds, receiving sounds, transmitting the sounds. So that's all about phonetics. Now say for example, if I give you a word called bud, what's the first letter in the word bud? B-U-D. The first letter is B. And what's the sound of that letter? It's B. B. So when I'm saying this sound, I'm working on how am I pronouncing that letter sound. Every time I'm trying to pronounce the letter sound B, my lip is getting closed. right? So the lip is getting closed. So that means I'm putting a lot of force on my lungs and my vocal cords are getting vibrated. And henceforth, the sounds are being produced by my vocal cords. So I'm able to produce the sound really well. So my phonetics is all about learning the speech sounds. You got it? I'm learning about the speech sounds. Whatever it is, I have to learn about the speech sounds. But what about phonology? Now, phonology is different comparatively to my phonetics. But again, if I take the word itself as phonology, I divide them into two parts. Phonology. What is phono? Phono is nothing but sound. Logy, study. By now you should get it. So phonology is nothing but study of sounds. Or I can say study of sound patterns. Why do I work on studying the sound patterns is because in phonetics, I said that letter B has the sound B. Now just imagine or just say that, CH, it's a consonant blend. CH makes one sound, ch. SH makes a sound, sh. In phonetics, I thought the sounds as ch, sh. But in phonology, take the word machine. I have CH, but this CH, when I'm saying the word machine, the CH is sounding as sh sound. Take another example, mechanism. Here CH has got the k sound. When I say cherry, CH has got the sound ch. It is the same letter CH, but under different circumstances and under different words, they make up different sounds. Now, did you get it? So, we have to examine how the sounds are changing in different words or how the sounds can change in different environment. So, depending upon what this word meaning is, we might actually derive to its actual sound. So this is phonology wherein we would be working on examining the patterns of the sounds for children. Okay, so to understand phonology, we have to first have the practice of phonetics. So phonetics is where we listen to a sound, we produce a sound, we receive and we transmit. From there, the phonology starts. When we listen to any sound, what happens in our mind? We start to interpret that sound. It also depends on how we understand this. Do they have multiple syllables in that particular word or what? I'll give you one more example. Like say, for example, phonology itself, if I have to break it, I say pho-no-lo-gi. So 4 syllables. So I'm dividing that or I'm breaking it into 4 syllables. Language. Language. 2 syllables. When I say languages, languages. So it's 3 syllables. What happens here is like when I said language and languages, the last letter in languages, it was S, but it was sounding Z there, right? So this is how you examine and you start working on the sound system for children. So what we generally do is we do not encourage this kind of techniques to younger kids because we don't want to confuse them a little bit more. But if you're a teacher, you should definitely know what phonetics is and what phonology is. And what is phonics? Introducing a letter and helping the child to work on the relationship with the letter and the letter sound. As simple as that. Every letter has a letter sound. So your phonics is as simple. It's just learning and teaching the children the association of a letter name to its letter sound. That's phonics. So I hope you have understood about this. This was one of the doubt that one of my student had, and I thought I would include it in this lesson because when we are working with phonics, definitely yes, all 3 would be involved. The first thing what we teach is the phonetic sounds. Then we work on phonetics. Then we would work on techniques of phonology. Okay. So to make it even more easier, We learned that we have 44 sounds in our language, right? But in Jolly Phonics, we drill it down to 42 sounds only. Okay, so it's a very systematic synthetic phonic program that we introduce it to our children in our classes. As you all know, phonics itself is to help the children to read and write. The different popular approaches in many schools, but most widely used across the world is Jolly Phonics. And this is by Sue Lloyd, okay, so and Sarah. They invented this method of Jolly Phonetics. Now, what did they do here is like they started working with 42 letter sounds. Okay, now let's see all the 42 letter sounds. Now I'm sequentially giving it to you so that it becomes easy for you to understand what are those 42 letter sounds. We have only 26 letters, but guys, we have to remember we have to get 42 letter sounds. Let's begin sequentially. I take letter A. So what's the sound of letter A? Ah. Words like ant, beginning sound. Okay, so I have my beginning sound here. Then in a word sand, it's the middle sound. S, ah. I can still hear ah. Words like caravan, caravan. So wherever I have A, I have my short vowel sound here. So this is my first sound. Now A is a vowel, right? And I have to understand vowel A has a short vowel sound and it also has a long vowel sound. So immediately I'm pinning my long vowel sound so I don't miss out. So I can reinforce this with my children who are like 4 years of age. I can start telling them that vowels are very special and they make two sounds. The short vowel takes the sound of it and the long vowel takes the name of it, right? And what is the spelling of it? Now here, in this case, it's AI. Words like aim, aid, drain. See, AI is making a long vowel sound A, aim, aid, drain, right? So that's my long A. Likewise, I have listed my sounds alphabetically. I'm not going deeper into it in today's session. At 4:30, we had a very deep discussion on all of this. In this video, I'm just giving you a summary of whatever we did in our day 2 session so that others will not miss out on the topics of learning. So likewise, we go for letter B, C, D, E, F. So every vowel will have a short vowel and a long vowel. So thereby, what did we do? We continued further and we learned about the 26 letters plus the long vowels. So when we are completing the letter Z till letter Z, so we did 26 letters plus the 5 long vowels. What were my 5 long vowels? The first vowel, long vowel, was with my AI, right? So that was my first long vowel. The second long vowel was with E. So letter E, that was my second long vowel. The third long vowel I had was IE, which sounded I. The fourth one was UE, that's U. And the fifth one, I think I missed here, it's OA, that's O, right? So these are the 5 long vowels. So in total, I had 26 plus 5. So 31 sounds were done. Now, how many are remaining out of 42? 11 more sounds. What are those 11 more sounds? Take a look here. When I have S and H together, they make the sound sh, as in tip, top, wish. They make the sound not sh. Try not to pronounce it as sh. It has to be. Letters C and H together, they make the sound ch, as in chop, chick, much. Letter TH makes 2 sounds, th and d. D. As in thin, thick, thimble, thumb. So when it is t sound, it is unvoiced. When it makes the sound d, as in this, that, with, it's voiced sound. So it is voiced TH. So TH has two sounds, voiced and unvoiced. When we have N and G together, they make the sound ng, as in song, bang, string. What are the remaining sounds? We have little oo and long oo. Little oo makes the sound oo. Long oo makes the sound oo. Little oo, as in words like look, foot, book, rook, shook. Long oo, as in moon, spoon, shoot, food. Okay. Next three sounds is controlled by R. So we have AR sounding as R, as in art, arm, start, ER, as in curb, stern, sister, OR, as in or. Words like order, corn, storm. The last two sounds are with OI. OI is a diphthong. It makes a new sound. So OI makes the sound OI. It glides together into one another's letter sounds. OI, as in oil, ointment, spoil. OU is ow, is again a diphthong. Words like out, cloud, found, shout. So you can hear to the sounds of ow. So this is our 42 letter sounds listed in the alphabetical order. You should not have any confusion of knowing what are these 44 sounds. So A to Z, whenever you're introducing the vowel, also list down the long vowel sound. That adds up to your 31 sounds. Then you begin with your SH, CH, TH and NG. TH has two sounds. From there, little o and long o. From there, R controlled sounds AR, ER, OR. From there, diphthongs OI and OU. So that covers your 42 sounds, which was listed alphabetically. But is this the right way to do it? I don't know. Whatever way is the good way for you, you can practice it. But this is one of the easiest way for the teachers to remember all the 42 sounds. But since we are working with Jolly Phonics, and Jolly Phonics is a child-centered approach to teach literacy through synthetic phonics, we would add extension to it, and we would not be introducing all the 44 sounds together. Rather, what we do, we would break them down into multiple groups. Since it is a multi-sensory method, and we know that the children learn using their different senses. Some are auditory learners, some are kinesthetic learners, some are visual learners. Keeping all of them in mind, Jolly Phonics is one of the multi-sensory method which is introduced in our classes to educate our children for our literacy program. So what we do in this is, we take up all these 44 letter sounds, we break them into 7 groups. Now, each group will have 6 sounds. Easy? We'll not teach all 42 together, but we take them, we divide the 42 letter sounds into 7 groups. And each group will have how many sounds? 6 sounds each group would actually have. Let's take a look at that. Now, before introducing the sounds and other things to our children, we have to remember on the following. What are they? The most important steps. So whenever we are working with Jolly Phonics, I would list down the teaching method into these 5 steps. The first step is to help the child to learn the letter sound. The second step, we teach the child to learn the letter formation. how the letter is formed. The third, once the child is good enough in identifying and saying the letter sound and knows to form the letter and write it, now you have to teach them to bring multiple sounds together and introduce a technique called blending. Fourth step, now they are able to blend, the child should be able to make words also. Now, what you do, you give them a word, and the child should be confident enough in identifying the sounds in that word. That is my step 4. Step 5, in case if the child is unable to phonetically tell the sounds of that word, those words are considered to be tricky, and we read them or learn them using the whole word approach. Easy? Yes. So we have broken that into 5 steps. Tell with me, the first step is learn the letter sounds. Second step, learn the formation of the letters. Third step, teach your child the blending technique. Fourth, identify the sound in any given word. Fifth, if the child is unable to identify the sound, consider that to be tricky, and then you can use the whole word approach to introduce the concept. Let's move to the next part. Now, what are we introducing over here? As I mentioned, the 42 letter sounds. We would be working on grouping them into 7 groups, right? And each of the group will have 6 sounds. Now, these are my 7 groups. Okay, so you can pause this video, you can take a screenshot, and you can write it down. So this was our topic of discussion for today. And in tomorrow's class, we are going to deep dive in learning about all these letters, the letter sounds. Are there any alternative spellings? How do I work on my actions and all of that? Now, to add on to this, Jolly Phonic also gives you a wonderful way to introduce conceptual. So we don't stop our teachings over here, but what we do further is like we follow a procedure to introduce our Jolly Phonic. What is the procedure? You always started with helping the child to work on the letter sound, right? So whenever you were introducing the letter sound, you have to follow an action for each of the letter sound. So your Jolly Phonic is associated with introducing the sounds, and every sound is associated with an action. Every time you say an action, there is something that you are going to proceed further. You're going to sing along, reinforcing the sound that you learnt. How amazing is that? Not only that, we have a story that is associated with every letter sound. You teach them the tips how to form the letter. Thereby, the child is able to recognize the sound and also is able to form the letter. So this is the procedure that we are going to be following. And what are the skills that you taught your child? You should be a proud parent and a teacher because you made sure your child is equipped with the following skills. First thing, the child knows the letter and the letter sound. Second, the child knows how to form that letter. The third, child knows the technique of blending, getting multiple sounds together. Fourth skill, given any word, your child is able to decode the number of sounds in that. Fifth skill, if your child does not know to decode phonologically, he or she comes to you and says, Mama, Papa, or Ma'am, I don't know this word. And then you can mark that word as a tricky word, and you would reinforce your child to learn a new skill to rote learn or to learn it with the whole word approach. Okay, so these were the skills that you enabled to actually work with it. So this was our day 2 session. I hope you all enjoyed learning the day 2 session with me. As I said, phonics is a method which is designed to help our children learn to read and write using a very systematic and engaging approach. It was created by 2 educators, that is Sue Lloyd and Sarah Wamhan. These are the two educators who aim to provide a structured and an enjoyable way for children to develop essential phonics skills. I'm very sure and confident if you take up this 5 day masterclass, your children will not face much of challenges and they would have a systematic learning lesson plan to be introduced to learn the jolly phonics. As to summarize, it's a multisensory approach. We learn through all our senses, our different senses, like we see a letter through sight, we hear the sound of the letter, we can actually touch the letter, how it has actually been, looking, or how can we actually form the letter, right? It's much more interactive. And since the Jolly Phonics involves a lot of letter sounds and actions, children remember, and the songs are so catchy that they remember the sounds of every letter. So even when you give dictation to a child, the child is able to understand and they would be able to write. And what about the order? It is such a structured approach. I'm very confident I'm giving you a very structured approach. When you take up this 5 day session, I think many of you have come back to me saying that it is much more easier now. It is just one day, guys. Yesterday's session itself, you told me it was made so easy. And after your day two, when you had a master class for a continuous 2 hour, and people have already started writing messages to me saying, Divya ma'am, this is such a structured approach. And I used to feel that phonic conceptuals were very complex. Now I'm able to introduce the concept of blending and segmenting to my child. See, we have not even gotten to our group one, but each one of you through yesterday's session, you have already started coping up with the skills of blending and segmenting, which is very crucial for our reading and writing, right? Further sessions, we would learn how to introduce progressively the tricky words, how to follow irregular phonetic patterns, how to use phonic stories to introduce our children, and how to work with our children's handwriting skills, because even that is also connected with our writing, right? And towards the end, we not only stop there, we have to make sure that every child is monitored, every child's progress is assessed, and you should be able to track your child's mastering phonetic skills. And overall, this has to be made as a fun learning so that our children enjoy reading and writing. And they should be able to get that amazing experience. It not only for students, even the teacher should be very joyful to introduce, right? So when we provide such a structured and systematic approach in phonetic education, it lays a stronger foundation for our literacy development. So that's for our day two session. I hope you all enjoyed. If you found this lesson helpful, please share it and don't forget to leave us a comment below. I would love to read all your learnings. If you find this was helpful, you can also share it to a friend of yours or somebody who is in need of it. If you have not registered for our phonic classes, the registrations are open. You can click on the description to see how you can actually register. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone. Get ready for an exciting day 3 session tomorrow, starting at 4:30 Indian Standard Time. I'll see you then. Take care.